My dear child, before you even take your next breath, I want you to pause for just one moment and feel something that is happening deep inside your chest right now. That quiet, warm, gentle pulling feeling in your heart, that soft nudging sensation that made you stop and pay attention today, that is not a coincidence. That is not your imagination playing tricks on you. That is not some random feeling that came out of nowhere. That is me. That is my voice. That is my love reaching across every distance, every distraction, every wall you have built around yourself, and touching the most tender and honest part of who you are. I have been waiting for this exact moment with you. I have been patient. I have been calling. I have been whispering your name in the quiet spaces between the noise of your busy life. And today, right now, in this very moment, you are finally still enough to hear me. I need you to understand something before we go any further. I did not bring you to this moment by accident. Nothing about your life has ever been an accident. Not the hard things, not the painful things, not the confusing seasons that left you wondering where I was and whether I even cared. Every single moment of your journey, every wrong turn, every tear you cried alone at night, every prayer that felt like it bounced off the ceiling and came right back down unanswered, I was there in all of it. I never left your side for even 1 second. I was working in the shadows of your story, even when you could not see my hands moving. And I brought you here today, to this message, to this hour, to this sacred and precious moment, because there is something I need to say to you that cannot wait any longer. There is a door standing right in front of you. Can you see it? It is the most beautiful door you have ever laid eyes on. The light pouring through the edges of it is warm and golden and full of peace. It is the kind of light that makes your whole body relax the moment you step into it. It is the kind of light that makes every shadow run away. I built that door. I placed it right here, right in the middle of your path, right at this exact point in your story. And every word I have been speaking to you today, every truth that landed in your heart, every moment of conviction or tears or recognition, all of it has been me walking with you, gently and tenderly, step by step, closer and closer to that door. You are standing right in front of it now. I can see you there, and I am standing on the other side of it, with my arms stretched wide open and the biggest smile on my face, calling your name and saying, "Come on in, come home. You are so welcome here. You have always been welcome here." But before we talk about walking through that door, I need to sit with you for a little while right where you are, because you have been carrying something for a very long time, and I want to look at it together with you. I want to help you set it down. I want to show you what your life can look like when you are no longer dragging that weight behind you every single day. Every video on this channel is created with love, faith, and dedication to sharing God's Word. If these messages inspire and encourage you, you can support our mission through the Ko-Fi or PayPal links in the description and pinned comment. Thank you for being part of this journey. My dear child, you are tired. I know you are tired. Not just the kind of tired that a good night of sleep can fix. I mean the deep down, all the way through, bone, tired kind of exhaustion that comes from carrying burdens that were never meant for your shoulders in the first place. You wake up in the morning, and before your feet even hit the floor, the weight is already there. The worry about money is already sitting on your chest. The anxiety about your relationships is already spinning in your head. The fear about the future is already tightening in your stomach. And you just push through it day after day, because that is what you have learned to do. You push through it, and you call it strength. But I want to tell you something today. That is not strength. That is survival. And I did not create you to merely survive. I created you to truly live. Think about your mornings for a moment. Think about the very first thoughts that come to your mind when you open your eyes. Are they thoughts of peace? Are they thoughts of joy? Are they thoughts of excitement about the day ahead? Or are they thoughts of dread? Are they thoughts of all the things that could go wrong? Are they thoughts of all the people who might disappoint you? All the bills that need to be paid? All the expectations you are not sure you can meet? For so many of my beloved children, the morning has become a battlefield before breakfast is even ready. The alarm goes off and the war begins. The scrolling begins. The comparing begins. The worrying begins. And by the time you sit down to eat, you are already exhausted from fighting battles in your own mind. I want to change that for you. Starting today, starting right now, in this very moment. I want to give you a different kind of morning. I want to give you mornings where the first thing you feel is my presence, where the first voice you hear is my voice, telling you that you are loved, that you are seen, that you are held, that this day is a gift I am giving you personally because I delight in you. I want you to have mornings where peace is not something you have to chase down and wrestle into submission, but something that is simply already there, already waiting for you, like warm sunlight coming through the window of a room you know and love. But to get there, we need to talk honestly about what has been blocking that. We need to look at some things together with clear eyes and open hearts. And I promise you, I am not doing this to shame you. I am not bringing these things up to make you feel small or guilty or hopeless. I am bringing them up because I love you far too much to leave you trapped in patterns that are stealing your life, your peace, and your joy. A good father does not look away from the things that are hurting his child. A good father leans in. A good father speaks the truth with tenderness. And that is exactly what I am doing with you right now. My dear child, I see the distractions. I see how much time you spend every single day in the world of glowing screens, scrolling through the carefully edited highlight reels of other people's lives. I see you comparing yourself to strangers on the internet, people whose real lives are often just as messy and painful and complicated as yours, but who have learned to package their moments beautifully for an audience. And I see what that comparison does to you. I see it quietly convincing you that you are not enough, that your life is not enough, that your home is not beautiful enough, that your body is not perfect enough, that your accomplishments are not impressive enough, that your relationships are not romantic enough. The comparison trap is one of the oldest tricks the enemy has, and it is costing you something precious. It is costing you the ability to appreciate and cherish the actual beautiful life that is right in front of you. When you are staring at someone else's sunset photo, you are missing your own sunset. When you are reading about someone else's promotion, you are missing the chance to celebrate the small but real victories in your own story. When you are watching someone else's family look perfect on a screen, you are too distracted to notice the beautiful and imperfect and irreplaceable people sitting right there in the same room with you. I am not saying that technology is evil. I am saying that anything which consistently pulls your heart away from what is real and holy and present in your actual life deserves to be looked at honestly. And I am inviting you to look at it honestly today. Put down the comparison. Lay it right down at my feet. Look around at your own life with fresh eyes, my eyes, the eyes of the one who designed every detail of who you are with absolute intention and love. The qualities inside you that you overlook and take for granted. Your kindness, your resilience, your creativity, your capacity to love. Those are not small things. Those are treasure. Those are the things I put inside you on purpose, because I knew this world would need exactly who you are. Now let us talk about the people in your life. because they are so connected to your well-being and your peace. I see the relationships that have been sitting heavy on your heart. I see the friendships that have cooled over the years, the slow drift that happens when life gets busy and communication gets shorter, and then eventually stops altogether. I see the family member you love deeply, but cannot seem to connect with anymore. The one where every conversation eventually loops back to the same old argument, the same old wound, the same old wall between you. I see the relationship where love is still present, but something has gone quiet, where you share a roof and a routine, but the warmth has faded, and you both just keep moving through the days without really talking about it. These things grieve me, because relationships are one of the most sacred things I created. I did not design human beings to live in isolation. I did not wire your hearts for loneliness. I created you for connection, for deep and honest and vulnerable connection, for the kind of love that says I see all of you, the beautiful parts and the broken parts, and I am choosing to stay. That kind of love reflects my own nature. That kind of love is one of the most powerful forces on earth. And when it goes cold, when it gets buried under business and pride, and unspoken words and unhealed hurts, something essential in a person's life goes dark. I want to ask you something, and I want you to think about it honestly. Is there someone in your life right now who needs to hear from you? Not a long, complicated message, not a perfectly worded speech, just a simple reaching out, a text that says I have been thinking about you, a phone call that says I miss you, a look across the room that says I see you and I love you. Sometimes the most powerful things we can do for our relationships cost nothing at all. They just require us to choose the person over our pride, to choose connection over comfort, to choose love over the fear of being vulnerable. Is there someone you have been meaning to call for months? Someone you keep thinking about and then talking yourself out of contacting because too much time has passed, or because you are not sure how they will respond? I am telling you today, make that call. Send that message. Do not wait for the perfect moment or the perfect words. Just reach out. You never know what that simple act of love might mean to the person on the other side of it. You never know what kind of weight they might be carrying right now, or how much your voice might be exactly what they needed to hear today. My dear child, I want you to take a slow and deep breath right now. Just breathe. Feel the air fill your lungs and then slowly let it go. Do it one more time. In and out. That simple act of breathing, that effortless rhythm that your body has been doing since the moment you were born, is a gift from me. Every single breath you have ever taken has been a gift. Every morning you opened your eyes was a morning I gave you on purpose, with intention, with love, because your story was not finished yet, and I still had more for you. I want you to carry that awareness with you today, not as a burden or a pressure, but as a quiet and beautiful truth that sits underneath everything else in your life. You are here because I want you here. You are alive because I am not finished with you yet, and that means today, this very ordinary Tuesday or Wednesday, or whatever day it happens to be when you are hearing these words, this day is not ordinary at all. This day is a gift with your name written on it. I want to talk to you today about the life you are actually living versus the life you were designed to live. Because for many of my beloved children, there is a painful gap between those two things. There is the life that is happening, the daily routine, the responsibilities, the pressures, the half-fulfilled dreams and the shelved ambitions, and the relationships that are surviving but not thriving. And then there is a deeper sense, sometimes only a whisper, sometimes an ache that is hard to name, of something more, something truer, something that feels more like the real you, the you that existed before the world started shaping you with its expectations and its fears and its definitions of success and failure and worth. That whisper is not your imagination. That ache is not ingratitude. That is me calling to the person I originally designed, calling to the version of you that has been waiting underneath all the layers that life has added to finally be fully seen and fully free. Today I want to help you close that gap. I want to help you peel back those layers, one by one, with gentleness and with truth, so that the real you can breathe again, so that the life you were designed for can start to become the life you are actually living. This is not going to be a quick or painless process, and I am not going to promise you that it will be easy. But I am going to promise you that it will be worth it. And I am going to promise you that you will not have to do it alone. I will be with you every single step of the way. In fact, I have been waiting for exactly this moment when you are finally ready to stop settling and start becoming. Let us start with identity, because everything in your life flows from who you believe yourself to be at the deepest level. If your identity is built on the wrong foundation, everything built on top of it will be unstable. And I see so many of my children building their sense of self on foundations that were never meant to hold that weight. They build their identity on their job title, on what they do for a living, on their role and their rank and their position. And then when that job changes or disappears, when the title is taken away or the role shifts, they experience not just a career change, but a crisis of self. They do not know who they are anymore, because they had become what they did, rather than who they were made to be. Others build their identity on their relationships, on being someone's partner, someone's parent, someone's friend. And those roles are beautiful and meaningful. Do not misunderstand me, but when your entire sense of self is wrapped up in another person, when you derive your value and your worth and your reason for being primarily from that relationship, it puts an unbearable weight on both you and the other person. No human being was designed to be the source of another human being's identity. That role belongs to me alone. And when you try to place another person in that position, or when you allow your own sense of self to depend entirely on how someone else sees you and treats you, you are setting yourself up for a kind of pain that goes all the way to the bone. Some of my children build their identity on their past, on what happened to them, on what was done to them, on the labels that were put on them when they were young and vulnerable and had no way to defend themselves. They were told they were not smart enough, or not attractive enough, or not lovable enough, or not good enough in some specific and damaging way, and they believed it. And they have been carrying that verdict around ever since, letting it shape their choices and their relationships and their sense of what they are allowed to hope for and expect from life. And I want to speak directly to that today with all the authority and all the love I carry. Whatever was spoken over you in the past, whatever label was stuck on you, whatever verdict was handed down about your worth or your potential or your lovability, I am overturning it today. I am the highest court in the universe, and my verdict supersedes every other verdict that has ever been spoken over your life. And my verdict about you is this: you are fearfully and wonderfully made. You were knit together by my own hands with extraordinary care and intention. You were known by me before you were born. You were chosen. You were called. You were loved before you ever did anything to earn it or deserve it. And that love has never wavered for even 1 second, regardless of what you have done or what has been done to you. That is the truth about who you are. And any voice, internal or external, that tells you anything different is a liar, and it does not deserve your agreement. Start practicing the discipline of catching the lies and replacing them with truth. When the voice in your head says you are not enough, you say out loud, I am enough because I was made by a God who does not make mistakes. When the voice says you are too broken to be used, you say, I am being restored by the God who specializes in broken things. When the voice says nobody really loves you or sees you, you say, I am fully known and fully loved by the Creator of the universe, and that is more than enough. These are not empty affirmations. These are declarations of actual truth. And the more consistently you speak them, the more they will displace the lies that have been occupying that space in your heart and your mind. We are committed to spreading hope, faith, and the message of Jesus Christ to people around the world. If you would like to help us continue this work, please visit our Ko-Fi or PayPal links below. Your kindness means more than words can express. Now I want to go deeper into the area of your thought life, because this is the battleground where so much of the war for your peace and your freedom is actually fought. The battle is not primarily out there in your circumstances. The battle is in here, in your mind, in the patterns of thinking that have been running on repeat in your head, often so automatically that you barely even notice them anymore. The worrying, the catastrophizing, the replaying of past failures, the anticipating of future disasters, the internal critic that is always on, always finding fault, always noticing what is wrong and what is lacking and what could go wrong. That voice has been with you for so long that it can start to feel like the truth, rather than what it actually is, which is a pattern of thought that has simply been practiced so many times that it has become a groove, a default, a habit of the mind. Habits can be changed. Patterns can be interrupted. Grooves can be redirected. It takes time, and it takes intention, and it takes my help, but it absolutely can be done. And the starting point is learning to notice your thoughts, rather than simply being carried along by them. Most people do not observe their thinking. They simply experience it, which means they have no distance from it, and no ability to evaluate whether what they are thinking is actually true. I am inviting you into the practice of stepping back from your thoughts and looking at them. When a thought rises up in your mind, pause for a moment and ask, is this true? Is this helpful? Is this something I would believe if I were standing in my Father's presence right now? Is this thought producing peace and life in me? Or is it producing anxiety and fear and despair? If it is not producing peace and life, you do not have to believe it. You do not have to give it permission to stay. You can recognize it as a thought that does not align with my truth, and you can choose, consciously and deliberately, to replace it with something that does. This is not naive or unrealistic. This is the practical discipline of taking every thought captive, of actively guarding the door of your mind, so that you are not simply a passive receiver of every thought and feeling that comes along, but an active participant in shaping the interior landscape of your own life. And I want to help you in this. When you sit with me in the morning, when you open my word and let it speak to you, you are doing exactly this. You are filling your mind with truth at the start of the day, so that when the lies come, and they will come, you have something solid to stand on. You have a counterweight. You have a standard of comparison that helps you recognize what is false. Think of it like this. The people who are trained to detect counterfeit currency do not primarily study the counterfeits. They study the genuine article so thoroughly, so intimately, that when a counterfeit appears they recognize it immediately, because it does not match what they know to be real. That is what spending time in my word does for your mind. It trains you in truth so thoroughly that the lies become easier to spot. My dear child, I want to talk to you about something else that is very important and that often goes unaddressed. I want to talk to you about rest. Real rest. Not just sleep, although sleep matters deeply, and I care about whether you are getting enough of it. I mean the deeper kind of rest, the kind that comes from a soul that knows it does not have to earn its place, does not have to perform for its acceptance, does not have to strive and achieve and produce to justify its existence. The rest that comes from knowing that the fundamental questions of your worth and your security and your future are already settled, already taken care of, already in the hands of someone who is completely trustworthy and completely capable. So many of my children are deeply, chronically tired, not because they are doing too much, although many of them are doing too much, but because they are doing it all from a place of striving, from a place of trying to prove something, from a place of anxiety about the outcome, from a place of believing that if they stop, if they slow down, if they take their hands off the wheel for even a moment, everything will fall apart. That kind of tiredness goes all the way to the soul, and no amount of sleep or vacation or self-care fixes it, because it is not a physical problem. It is a spiritual one. It is the exhaustion of a soul that has not yet learned how to rest in me. I want to teach you how to rest, not how to be lazy or irresponsible. I want to teach you the art of working hard and trusting me with the results, of giving your full effort and then releasing the outcome into my hands rather than knuckling it, trying to control what you cannot control, of planning wisely and then holding those plans loosely, knowing that I can redirect and repurpose and reroute in ways that are always better than your original plan, even when the rerouting is disorienting or disappointing in the moment. I want to teach you the deep peace that comes from knowing that your life is not held together by your own effort alone, but by my faithfulness, that your provision is not entirely dependent on your performance, that your future is not determined solely by your decisions, that there is a hand bigger and wiser and more powerful than yours that is holding the whole thing together. Come to me when you are weary, not when you have it all figured out, not when you have cleaned yourself up and gotten your act together. Come to me in the middle of the mess and the exhaustion and the confusion. I will give you rest. Not eventually, not theoretically, but genuinely and specifically and right now, in whatever moment you come to me with your need. That is my promise to you. I also want to speak to you about contentment, because it is one of the most countercultural and most life-giving practices I can teach you. We live in a world that has made an art form out of manufactured dissatisfaction. Entire industries exist for the sole purpose of making you feel that what you currently have is not enough, that you are not enough, that the next purchase or upgrade or achievement or experience will finally be the thing that satisfies the deep longing inside you. And it never is, because that longing was not put there by a deficit in your circumstances. It was put there by me as an invitation to come to the only source that can actually fill it. Contentment is not the same as complacency. Contentment does not mean you never desire change or growth or improvement. Contentment means that your sense of peace and security and joy is not held hostage by your circumstances. It means you can be at peace in plenty and in lack, in success and in struggle, in seasons of abundance and in seasons of want. It means you have found a settled place in your soul that does not move with every shift of the external winds, because it is anchored not in what you have, but in who you belong to. Practice gratitude as a discipline today, not a performance of gratitude, not a forced cheerfulness over things that are genuinely hard, but a deliberate, daily, honest practice of noticing and naming what is good in your life. Look for the evidence of my faithfulness around you today, the relationships that sustain you, the beauty that is available to you if you choose to look for it, the ways I have provided for you, protected you, guided you, carried you in the past, the simple and profound gifts of health and home and love and today. Write them down if that helps you. Keep a record of them. Because the human mind has a strong tendency to remember what went wrong and forget what went right, and deliberately building a record of my goodness in your life counteracts that tendency and builds a testimony that will strengthen your faith in the hard seasons. Let me now speak to you about something I know lies heavy on many hearts. I want to talk about loneliness. Not just the circumstantial loneliness of being physically alone, though that is real and I care about it deeply. I mean the deeper kind of loneliness, the kind that can exist even in a room full of people, even in a marriage, even in a family. The loneliness of feeling fundamentally unseen, fundamentally unknown, fundamentally misunderstood by the people closest to you. The loneliness of carrying something inside that you have never said out loud to anyone, because you are not sure it would be received, or understood, or held safely. The loneliness of being surrounded by people and still feeling profoundly alone. I see you in that loneliness. I am in it with you right now. And I want you to know that you are not alone in your aloneness. That what you feel in those quiet and isolated moments is not evidence that you are fundamentally different, or fundamentally broken, or fundamentally unlovable. It is evidence that you are human, and that human beings were made for a depth of connection that this world frequently fails to provide. That depth of connection is ultimately found in me first, in a relationship with me that is real and intimate and honest, where you can say the unsayable things and know that you are completely safe and completely loved. And then it flows out from that center into the human relationships in your life. I want to encourage you to take one brave step today toward genuine connection. Not a surface-level social interaction, but something real. Think of someone in your life, just one person, with whom you could be more honest and more vulnerable than you typically are. Someone you trust, or someone you would like to trust more. And take one step toward that. Ask them for coffee. Send them a message that says something more real than the usual pleasantries. Let them see a little more of the actual you. Vulnerability is terrifying, I know that. It feels like standing in an open field without any armor. But it is also the only pathway to the kind of connection that actually heals the loneliness. You cannot be truly known without being truly seen, and you cannot be truly seen without choosing to be visible. And as you do that, let me also encourage you to be that person for someone else. Think about who in your circle might be carrying a loneliness that they have not spoken out loud. Think about who might be struggling quietly, performing okay-ness on the outside while something inside them is desperate for someone to ask a real question and actually wait for a real answer. Be that someone. Ask the deeper question. Create the space. Make the call. Show up in the small and consistent ways that say to another person, I see you. I have not forgotten about you. You matter to me. You never know what that simple act of attention might mean to someone who has been feeling invisible. Now, I want to go somewhere that might feel a little uncomfortable, but that I need to address with you in love. I want to talk about the things in your life that are taking the place that I am meant to occupy. Not to condemn you, but to help you see clearly what is happening so that you can make an informed and free choice about it. Because here is the truth. Every human heart has a God-shaped space in it. I put it there. It is not a flaw or a weakness. It is part of how I designed you. Part of what makes you uniquely human. This capacity for transcendence. This longing for something beyond the physical and the temporary. But when that space is not filled with me, it does not simply stay empty. It gets filled with something else. And the something else, no matter how good or beautiful or enjoyable it is, will always be too small for the space it is trying to fill. Some of my children fill that space with achievement. They drive themselves relentlessly, always toward the next goal, the next milestone, the next level of success. And achievement is not wrong. Working hard is not wrong. Having ambitions is not wrong. But when achievement becomes the primary source of your worth and your peace, when your emotional state rises and falls entirely with your level of success, when the question of whether you are okay is entirely dependent on whether things are going well, that is a sign that achievement has taken a place in your heart that it was never designed to occupy. The peace I offer you is not contingent on your performance. Let me be the foundation of your security, and then let your achievements be an expression of the gifts I gave you and the calling I placed on your life, rather than the thing you are building your entire sense of self upon. Some of my children fill that space with relationships, with romantic love or friendship or family approval. And again, I want to be clear. Relationships are one of the most beautiful and important things in your life. I am not asking you to care less about the people you love. I am asking you to be free from the kind of desperate need for human love and approval that makes you a prisoner to other people's moods and opinions and choices. When your peace depends entirely on whether your spouse is happy with you today, or whether your friends approve of your decisions, or whether your parents finally see and acknowledge what you need them to see and acknowledge, you are placing your emotional well-being in the hands of people who are themselves imperfect and needy and limited. Let me be your primary source. Let my love for you be the deep well from which you draw, and then let human love be the beautiful gift that it is rather than the desperate necessity it becomes when I am not in my rightful place. Some of my children fill that space with comfort and pleasure, with food or entertainment or substances, or any of the countless forms of numbing that the modern world makes so readily available. When life gets hard, when the pain gets loud, when the anxiety rises, the temptation is always to reach for something that will make it quiet, at least for a little while. And I understand the impulse. I am not without compassion for the pain that drives it. But I also see what happens over time when the pattern of numbing becomes the primary way of coping with the hard things. The pain does not go away, it just gets deferred, and the thing that was being used to numb it slowly starts to demand more and more of your attention and energy, and eventually begins to create its own problems on top of the original ones. I want to be your comfort. I want to be the one you turn to when the pain is loud and the pressure is heavy and you do not know how to get through the next hour. I want to be the presence that you encounter in those moments, the peace that does not make sense but is genuinely there, the strength that comes from somewhere outside yourself when your own resources are completely empty. I am available to you in exactly those moments, not just in theory, not just on the good days, but in the hardest and darkest and most desperate moments of your life. That is precisely where my presence is most powerful and most available. Come to me there. This ministry exists to bring encouragement, prayer, and God's truth to every heart that needs it. You can stand with us through the Ko-Fi or PayPal links in the description and pinned comment. May God bless you abundantly for your love and support. My dear child, I want to talk to you about prayer. Real prayer. Not the rehearsed and formulaic kind that feels more like a religious duty than a genuine conversation. I mean the raw and honest and direct kind of prayer. That is simply you talking to me the way you would talk to someone who loves you completely and is never too busy for you and never grows weary of hearing your voice, because that is exactly what I am. I think many of my children have a complicated relationship with prayer because they have been taught to approach it in ways that feel very formal and very one-sided, like they are submitting a request to a distant authority figure and then waiting to see whether the request gets approved or denied. And while there is a place for humble and reverent petition, I want you to know that prayer is so much more than that. Prayer is a conversation. It is a relationship. It is the ongoing dialogue of a heart that is learning to live in constant awareness of my presence. It is the place where the distance between you and me gets small. It is the place where you can bring everything, absolutely everything, the gratitude and the anger, the faith and the doubt, the praise and the complaints, the big theological questions, and the small everyday worries. I want all of it. I want to hear all of it. And I am never embarrassed by your honesty or overwhelmed by your need. Start simple. If your prayer life has been dry or non-existent, or feels like going through motions, do not try to fix it by making it more complicated or more impressive. Fix it by making it more honest. Just tell me what is actually happening in your life right now, in plain and simple words. Just talk to me the way you would talk to a trusted friend over a cup of tea. Tell me what you are grateful for today, even if the list feels short. Tell me what you are worried about. Tell me what you need. Tell me what you do not understand. Tell me about the person on your heart. Tell me about the dream you are afraid to say out loud. Tell me about the thing you are ashamed of. I already know all of it, of course. But something shifts when you choose to bring it to me directly, when you choose to acknowledge my presence and my involvement in your life, rather than going about your day as if I were not there. And then, after you have talked, be still for a little while and listen. This is the part of prayer that most people skip because it feels unproductive or uncertain. But some of the most important things I want to say to you will only be received in the stillness after you have finished speaking. Not always in words. Sometimes it is a sense of peace that settles on a particular situation you were anxious about. Sometimes it is a specific thought or idea or memory that rises up and carries a quality of clarity or love that feels different from your ordinary thinking. Sometimes it is simply the sense of being less alone, of knowing that you were heard, of feeling the weight shift just slightly as you release what you were carrying and trust me with it. Learn to recognize my voice in all its forms. It will rarely be dramatic. It will usually be quiet, but it will be real, and over time, as you practice listening, you will get better at recognizing it. Let me speak to you now about something that I think is one of the most misunderstood aspects of the life of faith. I want to talk about the relationship between your effort and my work, because I see many of my children living in one of two imbalanced extremes, and both of them produce frustration and fruitlessness. On one side, there are those who believe that everything depends on their effort, that if they work hard enough and pray hard enough, and do all the right things consistently enough, they can produce the outcomes they are hoping for in their own strength. They carry enormous pressure because they feel entirely responsible for the results of their life. And when things do not go according to plan, they either blame themselves mercilessly or drive themselves harder. On the other side, there are those who take the truth that I am sovereign and I am in control to mean that they do not need to do anything, that they can simply wait for me to move without taking any initiative themselves. And they end up frustrated by their own stagnation, waiting for a door to open that they are not willing to even walk toward. The truth is in neither extreme. The truth is partnership. I call you to show up with your full effort, your full faithfulness, your full engagement in the things I have placed before you. And at the same time, I invite you to hold the outcomes loosely, to recognize that the ultimate results of your faithfulness are in my hands, that I am able to take your small and imperfect offering and multiply it into something far beyond what you could produce on your own. Your job is to be faithful. My job is to be fruitful. Your job is to plant and water. My job is to make things grow. That division of responsibility is not meant to make you passive. It is meant to free you from the crushing weight of believing that everything depends entirely on you, while still calling you to the beautiful dignity of genuine participation in what I am doing. I want to encourage you today to identify one area of your life where you have been either over, striving, or under, engaging, and to make one adjustment in that area. If you have been working in your own strength and carrying the burden of outcomes that belong to me, practice releasing today. Do your part with faithfulness, and then actually let go of the results and trust them to me. Say it out loud. I am doing my part, and I am trusting you with the outcome. That is a prayer. That is an act of faith, and I honor it. Conversely, if you have been waiting for me to act while withholding your own participation, ask me today to show you one concrete step you can take, one thing you can do, one door you can knock on, one action you can take in the direction of what you are believing for. And then take that step. I meet people in their movement. I honor the faith that gets up and takes a step even when it cannot see the full path. My dear child, we are moving towards something important now, and I want to make sure I say this clearly and tenderly. I have been speaking to you this whole time as someone who knows you, as someone who sees all the way through the surface of your life into the real and complex and beautiful and struggling reality of who you actually are. And I want you to feel that. I want you to carry with you, after this time together is over, the deep settled knowledge that you are known, not in a vague spiritual way, but in the most specific and personal and intimate way possible. I know your name. I know the number of hairs on your head. I know the dreams you have never said out loud to another person. I know the fears that visit you at 3 a.m. I know what makes you laugh until you cannot breathe, and what makes you cry when you think no one is watching. I know what you need even better than you know what you need, and I am not indifferent to any of it. You matter to me. Your everyday, ordinary, actual life matters to me. The details matter to me. The small stuff matters to me. The way you feel when you wake up in the morning matters to me. The quality of your relationships matters to me. Your health, your work, your creativity, your joy, your rest, your sense of purpose, all of it matters to me. I did not create you for a transaction. I did not save you just to put you on a shelf and wait for you to get to heaven. I created you for a real and living relationship. A relationship that is present tense and active and growing and reciprocal. A relationship where I speak and you listen, and you speak and I listen, and together we navigate the landscape of your one precious life. That is what I am inviting you deeper into today. Not just a more diligent religious practice, not just better habits or more consistent church attendance. A genuine, living, breathing, honest relationship with the one who made you and loves you and has never for one single moment stopped calling your name. If you are someone who has been away from that relationship for a long time, let me say something to you specifically. I have not been keeping a record of your absence. I have not been sitting here in offended silence, waiting for you to come crawling back so that I can demonstrate how long you were gone. I have been here, waiting, with the same welcome I have always had for you, the same arms, the same love, not diminished by your distance, not conditioned on your return, just constant, just faithful, just here. The moment you take one step back toward me, I am already moving toward you. That is not poetry. That is the most literal description of how I operate toward the people I love. You will not find me cold or distant or grudging when you return. You will find what the prodigal son found when he came home, a father who was watching for him, who ran to meet him before he even arrived, who threw a party not because the son had earned it, but because what was lost had been found, and that was worth celebrating. That is me. That is how I am toward you. Come back if you have been away, and if you have never fully come in the first place, this is your invitation. This moment, this conversation, this is me opening the door and calling your name. Now I want to speak to those of you who are in a season of grief. Perhaps you are mourning a loss, the death of someone you loved, the end of a relationship, the loss of a dream, the loss of a version of your life that you had believed in and worked toward, and had to let go of. Grief is one of the most isolating human experiences. The world tends to give people a very short window in which to grieve before it starts expecting them to bounce back and move on and be okay again. And many of my children end up carrying their grief privately, silently, long after the world's short patience for it has expired. I want you to know that I am never impatient with your grief. I never look at your mourning and say it has been long enough. You should be over this by now. I sit with you in it. I am present in the tears that come out of nowhere on an ordinary afternoon. I am there in the empty chair at the dinner table. I am in the moment when something happens that you instinctively want to share with the person who is no longer there, and then the remembering hits you all over again. I see all of that. I am in all of that, and I am not asking you to hurry through it or perform a recovery that you do not yet genuinely feel. But I also want to say this. Grief is meant to move, not to disappear, not to be forgotten, but to transform over time from an open wound into something that is healed, but still carries the mark of what it went through. The people we love and lose do not need to be forgotten for us to keep living. Their memory does not have to be a prison. Their absence does not have to define the rest of our story. I am the God of resurrection. I am the one who takes the things that have died and brings new life out of them, in ways that astound and humble and overwhelm everyone who witnesses it. And I can do that in your grief. I can bring beauty from the ashes of your loss, not by erasing what was, but by continuing to write a story that honors what was lost while moving forward into what is still ahead. Bring your grief to me today. All of it. Name the loss. Feel the weight of it in my presence. Let yourself be held in it rather than pushing it back down and getting on with things. And then, when you are ready, and only when you are ready, let me show you the next part of your story. The part that exists beyond this loss. The part where you discover that I was not finished with you when the thing you loved was taken. The part where the seeds of something new begin to push up through the broken ground of what has been. That part is real. That part is coming, and I will walk you into it with all the gentleness and all the strength you need. Friends, if you are being moved by this message, I want to encourage you to like this video and share it with someone who needs to hear these words today. There is someone in your life right now who is carrying something heavy that they have not told you about. Someone who is struggling quietly. Someone who would be profoundly helped by hearing that they are not alone, that they are seen, that there is a God who knows their name and has not given up on them. You sharing this message could be the moment that changes something for them. Do not underestimate the power of a simple act of passing on something that touched your own heart. Let me speak to you about courage, because the life I am inviting you into requires it. Not the loud and dramatic courage of the movie hero, but the quiet daily courage of someone who chooses truth over comfort, who chooses love over self-protection, who chooses to keep going when every part of them wants to stop. The courage to have the hard conversation. The courage to ask for help when you need it. The courage to admit you were wrong and to make it right. The courage to say no to something that is pulling you away from who you want to be, even when saying no is costly. The courage to keep praying when the answer has not come. The courage to keep loving someone who is difficult to love. The courage to begin again after you have failed. This kind of courage is not something you manufacture on your own. It is something I give you as you step toward the thing that frightens you. It does not usually come in advance. It comes in the moment of need. In the moment when you have already decided to move, and you are taking the step, and your legs are shaking, but you are moving anyway. That is when you will feel it. That is when you will discover that there is a strength available to you that is beyond your own. Not because you are exceptional, but because I am the source of your strength, and I am faithful to provide it when it is genuinely needed. Do the brave thing today, whatever the brave thing is for you in this particular season of your life. You know what it is. You have been avoiding it, probably, because bravery is almost always uncomfortable in advance. But you know what it is. Take one step toward it today. Just one. I will meet you in that step, and I will be there for the next one. Every video is created with prayer, time, and dedication to reach those who may be searching for encouragement and faith. By supporting this ministry through Ko-Fi or PayPal, you help keep this mission growing and touching more lives each day. God bless you abundantly. My dear child, I want to close this part of our time together by bringing you back to the door. That beautiful door that has been open this whole time. The light is still pouring through it. The warmth is still there. And I am still on the other side of it. Still calling your name. Still waiting for you with open arms and an open heart and a joy that I cannot fully contain at the thought of you choosing to walk through it. Everything I have said to you in this time has been pointing toward this one decision. Not a religious decision. Not a performance. Not a commitment to try harder or do better or get your life together before you come to me. A decision to say yes to the relationship. Yes to the love. Yes to the life I designed for you. Yes to walking through that door and leaving the old version of yourself on the other side of it. Not because you are abandoning everything, but because you are choosing the truest and most alive version of who you were always meant to be. You were made for this. You were made for me. The deepest longing of your heart, the one that no achievement or relationship or experience has ever fully satisfied, that longing was made for this exact moment. For this exact yes. Come home, my dear child. The door is open. The light is warm. I am here. And if there is someone you need to forgive, let us talk about that right now, because this is important. This is deeply, profoundly important for your own peace and freedom, not just for theirs. I know who hurt you. I know their face. I know what they did or what they failed to do. I know the sting of it, the shock of it, the way it changed something in you. And I am not here to minimize that pain or tell you it was not a big deal. It was a big deal. What happened to you mattered. Your pain is real, and it is valid, and I saw every single moment of it. But here is what I also see. I see the way that unforgiveness has become a prison, not for the person who hurt you. They may have moved on completely. They may not even think about it anymore. But for you, the wound stays fresh because you keep going back to it. You keep replaying the scene in your mind. You keep rehearsing what you would say if you had the chance. You keep feeding the fire of that bitterness, and every time you do, it burns a little more of you from the inside. Unforgiveness is like drinking poison and waiting for the other person to get sick. It does not touch them. It eats at you. Forgiveness is not saying that what happened was okay. Forgiveness is not pretending the pain was not real. Forgiveness is not even necessarily rebuilding the relationship or opening yourself up to being hurt the same way again. Forgiveness is simply choosing to release the grip that the past has on your present. It is choosing to hand the justice of the situation over to me, trusting that I see everything, that I am the ultimate judge, and that I can be trusted to handle what you cannot. Forgiveness is the key to your own freedom. And I am placing that key in your hand right now. Speak their name in your heart, see their face in your mind, and then say, out loud or silently, with as much sincerity as you can muster right now, I forgive you. I release you. I am choosing to let go of this weight and give it to God. You may need to do that more than once. You may need to do it tomorrow morning when the old feelings rise up again. Forgiveness is often not a single moment, but a daily choice, a daily decision to keep releasing, to keep letting go, until one day you realize that the wound has actually healed, that the sting is gone, that you can think about that person without your chest tightening. That is the miracle of genuine forgiveness, and it is available to you right now. And while we are talking about forgiveness, I need to say something that might be the most important thing in this whole conversation. My dear child, I also need you to forgive yourself. I see you at night when the house is quiet and everyone else is asleep. I see you staring at the ceiling, replaying old decisions, old words, old moments that you wish you could go back and change. I see you calling yourself names in your own head, names that I would never use for you. Names that are the opposite of how I see you. I see you carrying the weight of guilt for things that I have already completely forgiven. And it breaks my heart. When you came to me with a sincere heart and asked for forgiveness, I gave it to you, fully, completely, without any reservation. I did not give you a partial forgiveness or a conditional forgiveness. I wiped the record clean. I removed your sins as far as the east is from the west. I buried them in the deepest sea and put a sign that says no fishing allowed. They are gone, done, over, finished. And yet you keep diving into that sea and pulling them back up and holding them in your hands and torturing yourself with them. That is not what I want for you. That is not the life I paid for you to have. You are not your worst moment. You are not your biggest failure. You are not the sum of your mistakes and poor decisions. You are my beloved child, made in my image, redeemed by my love, and called to a future that is filled with hope. That is how I see you. And I am asking you today to start seeing yourself the way I see you. To speak to yourself the way I speak to you. To treat the person in the mirror with the same grace and compassion that I pour out on you every single day. If you knew how deeply and unconditionally I loved you, you would never spend another moment in self-condemnation. You would never call yourself worthless or hopeless or too far gone. You would look in that mirror and see what I see: a beloved child, a masterpiece in progress, a soul that I chose and called and gifted and destined for something beautiful. That is the truth about who you are. Let it sink in today. Let it go all the way down into the deepest parts of you, where the old lies have been living. Let my truth replace them, one by one, until the foundation of how you see yourself is built not on what you have done or failed to do, but on what I say about you. Now I want to talk to you about something that is very close to my heart, and I want you to really hear this. I want to talk about the way you spend your time, because time is one of the most precious gifts I have ever given you, and it is not renewable. You cannot earn more of it. You cannot buy it back. Once a moment is gone, it is gone forever. And I watch you, my dear child, and I see so many moments slipping through your fingers like water, because of the way the world has trained you to spend them. The world is very loud. The world is very demanding. The world is constantly pinging and buzzing and alerting and notifying you, constantly pulling at your attention from 100 different directions, constantly telling you that you need to be up to date on everything, that you need to be informed and engaged and responsive at all times. And in the middle of all that noise, the quiet things, the most important things, tend to get squeezed out. Time with me gets squeezed out. Deep conversation with the people you love gets squeezed out. Rest and reflection and genuine stillness gets squeezed out. and you end up at the end of each day feeling like you were busy every second, but somehow did not do anything that really mattered. I want to invite you into a different way of living, a slower, deeper, more intentional way of moving through your days, a way of living where you wake up and the first thing you do is come to me, before the phone, before the news, before the emails and the notifications and the demands of the day. Just come to me first. Give me the first moments of your morning. Talk to me. Listen for me. Open my word and let it speak to you. Start your day anchored in my presence, rather than launched into the chaos of the world, and watch how differently the rest of the day unfolds when you begin it that way. And then, as you move through your day, practice being present. Actually present. Not physically in a room while your mind is somewhere else entirely, but actually there, actually engaged, actually noticing the beauty and the grace in the ordinary moments of your life. The way your coffee smells in the morning, the sound of your child's laugh, the color of the sky at a certain time of day, the simple miracle of your own breath going in and out, without you even having to think about it. These are not small things. These are gifts I am constantly giving you, little love notes scattered all through your day, and I long for you to notice them. When you sit down to eat with your family, put the phone in another room. Look at the people across the table from you. Ask them real questions. Listen to their answers. Be curious about their lives, their thoughts, their feelings, their hopes and fears. Your family does not need a perfect parent, or a perfect spouse, or a perfect sibling. They need a present one. They need someone who looks them in the eyes and makes them feel seen and valued and worth paying attention to. Be that person. Start today. If you are a parent, I want to speak to you directly for a moment. I know the weight of that role. I know the endless responsibility of it, the constant self-doubt, the fear that you are not doing enough or doing it right, the worry that you are somehow messing up the most important job you will ever have. I see the love you pour out for your children, often in total silence, with no applause and no recognition, just steady and faithful and exhausting love. I see it. I honor it. And I want to tell you something important. Your children do not need you to be perfect. They need you to be real. They need to see you pray. They need to hear you say, "I am sorry," when you get it wrong. They need to watch you trust me in the hard moments. They need to see that faith is not just something you talk about, but something you actually live. That is the greatest inheritance you can give them. Not money, not opportunities, not achievements, but a living example of a life that is anchored in me. And if you are someone who does not have children of your own, the same truth applies to the people in your circle. You are always influencing someone. There is always someone watching how you handle difficulty, how you treat other people, how you respond to disappointment, how you carry yourself in moments of pressure. Your life is a message being read by people around you every single day. What is that message saying right now? I am not asking you to perform or to put on a show. I am asking you to simply let my light shine through the authentic reality of your life, with all its beauty and all its brokenness, and trust that I can use it. Let me take you somewhere for a moment. I want you to close your eyes in your imagination and walk with me through the rooms of your home. Let us start at the front door. Think about what it feels like when you walk through that door after a long day. Is it a place of peace? Is it a place where you can exhale and let your guard down and be yourself? Or does the tension follow you through the door? Does the weight you carry outside come right in with you the moment you step inside? For many of my children, home has become an extension of the stress rather than a refuge from it. The unresolved arguments live in the walls. The unspoken resentments sit at the dinner table. The exhaustion and the distraction mean that people who love each other deeply pass through the same spaces day after day without ever truly meeting. I want to change the atmosphere of your home, and it starts not with furniture or renovation or a bigger space. It starts with the posture of your heart when you walk through that door. It starts with the decision, made freshly every single day, that this place is going to be a sanctuary, that peace is going to be protected here, that love is going to be spoken here, not just felt in theory, but actually spoken out loud, in plain and simple words, often. Tell the people in your home that you love them today, not in a perfunctory way, but with real eye contact and real warmth. Look at your spouse and tell them something specific that you appreciate about them. Look at your children and tell them something that makes you proud of who they are becoming. Look at whoever shares your space and make them feel that sharing that space with them is not a burden or a habit, but a genuine privilege and a joy. And if there are rooms in your home where damage has been done, where words were spoken that cut deep, where silence has grown thick and cold and painful, I want to meet you in those rooms today. I want to bring my presence into the hardest corners of your home life. I want to help you rebuild what has been torn down, not because it will be easy, not because it will happen overnight, but because I am the God of restoration. I specialize in things that look too broken to fix. I take the shattered pieces of relationships and families, and I put them back together in ways that are even more beautiful than they were before the breaking. But I need your willingness. I need your humility. I need you to choose love over pride, to choose repair over retreat, to choose the hard and vulnerable conversation over the comfortable silence. If you have a husband or a wife, I want to speak to your marriage for a moment. I know the season you are in. I know whether it has been a season of connection and warmth or a season of distance and strain. I know the things that have been left unsaid. I know the wounds that have been quietly festering under the surface of the normal routine. And I want you to know that I have not given up on your marriage. I do not give up on what I joined together. But I do need both hearts to be willing, to be humble, to be brave enough to lay down their own need to be right in favor of the deeper need to be close. Make time for each other. Real time, not just coexisting in the same space while you are both looking at separate screens. Sit together and actually talk. Go for a walk. Cook a meal together. Do something simple that gives you the chance to be two people who like each other, not just two adults managing a household. Pray together if you can. There is something uniquely powerful about two people bowing before me together, bringing their shared life and their shared needs and their shared vulnerabilities to the same place. It builds a kind of intimacy that nothing else can replicate. Try it, even if it feels awkward at first, even if you have not done it in years. Start again today. Now I want to talk to you about something that I know many of you have been wrestling with in the deep and private places of your heart. I want to talk to you about doubt, about those seasons when faith does not feel like a warm and comforting blanket, but more like a thin and fraying thread that you are holding onto with both hands, not sure how much longer it will hold. Seasons when you prayed and the answer did not come, when you trusted and things still fell apart, when you did everything right and the outcome was still wrong, when you looked around at your life and the life of people you love and asked the oldest and most honest question in human history: God, where are you? Why? I am not afraid of that question. I am not offended by it. I am not disappointed in you for asking it. In fact, the very fact that you ask it tells me that you still believe in me enough to direct your pain and confusion toward me, rather than simply giving up. That kind of faith, the kind that hangs on even when it is bruised and bleeding, and has no idea what comes next. That kind of faith moves something deep in my heart. It is one of the most beautiful things I ever witness in the life of a human being. But I do want to say something to you in that place of doubt. I want to say this gently but clearly. There are things you will not fully understand this side of eternity. There are purposes being worked out in the seasons of your life that are bigger than your individual experience, bigger than what your human eyes can see, woven into a tapestry so vast and so intricate that you would need to see it from my perspective to understand how your particular thread fits into the whole picture. I am not asking you to pretend that the hard things are not hard. I am not asking you to paste a smile over genuine grief or loss or confusion. I am asking you to trust the one who holds the whole picture, even when you can only see the small fragment of it. That is your own life. I have a history with you. Look back at it. Think about the moments in your past when things looked impossible, and then somehow they were not. Think about the times when you did not know how you were going to make it through, and then you did. Think about the doors that closed and the ones that opened in their place. Think about the people I brought into your life at exactly the right time. Think about the provisions that came from nowhere. Think about the moments of grace and peace that descended on you in the middle of circumstances that should have been overwhelming. That is my track record with you. That is the evidence I have been building your whole life, one faithful moment at a time. Let that history be the anchor for your faith in this present uncertainty. I am the same God who parted the water when there was no other way through. I am the same God who provided bread in the wilderness when there was no natural source of food. I am the same God who walked into the fire with 3 young men who refused to bow to a false king, and who walked out of that fire with them on the other side without even the smell of smoke on their clothes. I am the same God who raised the dead, healed the sick, restored the broken, redeemed the lost, and turned stories that looked like complete endings into the most magnificent new beginnings. That same God is here with you right now. That same power, that same love, that same faithful and attentive care is directed toward your life today. If you are facing a situation right now that feels impossible, I want you to bring it to me right now. Not a polished and perfectly worded prayer. Just the raw, honest truth of what you are dealing with. Tell me exactly how it feels. Tell me what you are afraid of. Tell me what you need. I already know, of course. I know everything, but there is something powerful about you choosing to bring it to me in your own words, in your own voice. That act of bringing it to me is itself an act of trust. It is you saying, I cannot carry this alone. I need you. And that is the most powerful position you can ever be in, because that is exactly where I can begin to do my greatest work. A single act of kindness can help God's message reach someone who needs hope today. If you feel blessed by this channel, you can stand with us through the Ko-Fi or PayPal links in the description and pinned comment. Thank you for helping us spread God's love one soul at a time. I want to also speak to those of you who are in a season of waiting. Perhaps you have been praying for something for a long time, something you deeply desire and deeply need, and the answer has not come yet. The wait has been long. Your faith has been tested. The people around you may have grown impatient with your hope, or may have started suggesting that perhaps you should simply accept that this particular thing is not going to happen. But something in you keeps holding on. Something in you keeps bringing the same request back to me, even when there is no visible sign of progress. I want to say something to that persistent, stubborn, beautiful faith. Keep going. Do not give up. Do not let the length of the wait convince you that the answer is no. Sometimes the wait itself is part of the miracle. Sometimes I am preparing you to receive what I have promised in a way that requires time. That requires growth. That requires a deepening of your faith and a refining of your character. The wait is not wasted. Nothing I allow in your life is wasted. Every season serves a purpose in the larger story I am writing for you and through you. But while you wait, live fully in the present. Do not put your life on hold waiting for the one thing you are praying for. The life I have given you is happening right now, today, in this season of waiting. And it is full of beauty and purpose and opportunity if you will open your eyes to see it. Do not miss the present moment by living entirely in the future. Let me meet you here, in the middle of the wait, and show you how much good is available to you right now, today. If you have been watching this channel, and this message has been reaching into your heart, I want to pause here and invite you to hit that subscribe button right now. Because what you are experiencing in this moment, this sense of being spoken to directly, this feeling of presence and truth and love, I want you to have access to more of it. There is so much more that I want to share with you, so many more messages of hope and truth and direction for your life. Do not miss them. Subscribe and turn on the bell notification so that every time a new message goes up, you are the first to receive it. This is a community of people who are choosing to listen, who are choosing to grow, who are choosing to live with their hearts open to something greater than what the world is offering. You belong here. Now let us keep going, because there is so much more I want to say to you. I want to talk to you about fear. I want to talk about it openly and honestly, because I know how much of your life fear has been driving. Fear is a clever and subtle thing. It does not always announce itself loudly as fear. Sometimes it disguises itself as wisdom. It tells you that it is being sensible, that it is being realistic, that it is simply being careful. But underneath the disguise, it is still fear. It is still the thing that keeps you from stepping into what I have called you to. It is still the thing that makes you shrink back from the opportunities I put in front of you. It is still the thing that robs you of the fullness of the life I designed for you. There is the fear of failure. The fear that says, what if I try and it does not work? What if I step out and I fall? What if I give it everything I have and it still is not enough? This fear keeps so many of my children locked in lives that are safe but not full. They never start the business because they are afraid it will fail. They never have the honest conversation because they are afraid of how it will land. They never pursue the dream because they are afraid that wanting it and not getting it will be more painful than never trying at all. And so they stay safe and they stay small. And somewhere deep inside them, underneath the safety and the smallness, there is a voice that occasionally rises up and says, this is not all there is. This is not everything I was made for. But the fear quickly pushes it back down. I want to speak directly to that voice today. That voice is right. You were made for more. Not more money necessarily, not more fame or success by the world's definition, but more life, more depth, more meaning, more impact, more love given and received, more of the abundant life that my Son came to give you. That life is not just something that happens after you die. It is available to you right now, today in your actual present life, but it requires you to choose courage over comfort, to step through the door of the thing that frightens you with the knowledge that I am already on the other side of it, waiting for you. There is also the fear of what other people think. This is perhaps the most common and the most crippling fear among my beloved children. The fear of judgment, the fear of criticism, the fear of being misunderstood, the fear of standing out or being different, or being thought of as too religious, or too serious, or too something. This fear keeps people silent when they should speak. It keeps them agreeable when they should be honest. It keeps them performing a version of themselves that is acceptable to the crowd, rather than being the authentic and God-designed person that I created them to be. Let me ask you something with genuine love. Whose opinion ultimately matters? The people whose approval you are working so hard to earn. Where will they be at the end of your story? Where will their opinions be? The only opinion that will have any lasting weight. The only voice that will still be speaking when everything else has gone silent is mine. And I have already told you what I think of you. I have already declared your worth, not based on your performance or your popularity, but based on who you are to me and what I paid to call you mine. Why would you sacrifice that for the temporary and fickle approval of people who do not even fully know themselves, let alone fully know you? Be free today. Be free to be exactly who I made you to be, with your unique personality, your specific gifts, your honest struggles, your particular calling. Stop trying to shrink yourself into a shape that fits neatly into everyone else's expectations. You were not made to fit neatly. You were made to live fully. I want to talk to you about purpose now, because this is something that lies at the center of so much of the longing and restlessness that people carry. The question of why am I here? What is the point of my life? What was I specifically made to contribute to this world? These are not small questions. They are the deepest and most important questions a human being can ask. And the fact that you are asking them is not a sign of ingratitude or dissatisfaction. It is a sign that you were made for something intentional, and you know it on a deep level, even if you cannot fully articulate it yet. Here is what I want you to understand about purpose. Your purpose is not a single grand destiny that you either find and fulfill or miss completely and live in regret over. Your purpose is woven all through your life, in every relationship, every conversation, every act of kindness, every moment of courage, every time you choose love over fear, truth over comfort, generosity over selfishness. You are living your purpose in the way you raise your children and love your spouse and serve your community and show up for the people who need you. You do not have to become famous or powerful or recognized to fulfill your purpose. You simply have to be faithful in the small things and the large things, in the seen moments and the unseen ones. That said, I do want you to pay attention to the specific gifts and passions I have placed inside you. The things that light you up. The things you could do for hours without watching the clock. The places where your natural abilities and your deep joy intersect with a real need in the world around you. That intersection is not an accident. I put that there. I designed those gifts with intention, and I want you to use them. Not bury them. Not hide them. Not hold them back because you are afraid they are not impressive enough, or because you are waiting until you feel ready. Use them now. Start where you are, with what you have, and trust that I will grow and multiply and direct what you offer me with open hands. Take a moment right now and think about one gift you have been holding back. One thing you know how to do. One way you know you could serve or contribute or create. One calling that keeps knocking on the door of your heart, even when you keep telling it to come back later. I want you to make one concrete decision today about that thing. Not a plan, not a 5-year strategy, just one step, just one small, real, concrete step in the direction of that calling. Who could you tell about it? What is one thing you could do about it this week? Make that commitment today, right now, in the quiet of your heart, and then actually do it. Because here is the thing about purpose and calling. It does not usually come with a loud announcement and a clear roadmap. It usually comes with a small nudge and a simple invitation to take one step, and then another step, and then another, and slowly, one faithful step at a time, the path becomes clear under your feet. Not because you could see it from the beginning, but because you were willing to keep walking even when you could only see the next step. I also want to speak to the feeling of insignificance, because I know it lives in so many hearts. The feeling that your life is too ordinary to matter. That you are just one person in a sea of billions, and nothing you do makes any real difference. That the big changes in the world are made by important people with important platforms and important influence, and you are just an average person living an average life in an average place. I want to shatter that lie completely and permanently today. Look at the history of how I work in this world. I did not choose the most powerful, or the most prestigious, or the most educated to carry the most important messages and do the most world-changing work. I chose a shepherd boy to become a king. I chose a fisherman to become the rock on which my church was built. I chose a young woman in an ordinary village in an ordinary part of the world to carry the Savior of all humanity. I chose the weak things to shame the strong and the foolish things to confound the wise. Not because I was making some clever point, but because that is genuinely how I work. That is genuinely what I love. I love taking what the world overlooks and doing with it what the world calls impossible. You are not too ordinary for me to use. Your life is not too small for me to fill with meaning. Your story is not too unremarkable for me to write something extraordinary through it. I just need your availability. I need your willingness. I need you to stop disqualifying yourself before I have even had the chance to show you what I can do with the ordinary, willing, open hands of someone who simply says yes. Now, my dear child, I want to speak to the physical reality of your life as well, because I am not a God who only cares about spiritual things, while ignoring the very real struggles of your body and your practical circumstances. I see the health concerns that keep you awake at night. I see the financial stress that sits on your shoulders like a stone. I see the exhaustion of your body from trying to keep up with demands that never seem to decrease. I see the places where the physical reality of your life is weighing on your spirit and making it harder to hope. I want to speak healing and provision and restoration into those practical places today, not as empty words, but as a genuine declaration of what I am able and willing to do in your circumstances. I am the God who heals. That is not a metaphor, and it is not just something I did a long time ago in another era. I am still the healer. My healing power has not diminished, and it has not expired. Bring your body before me today, whatever is struggling, whatever is hurting, whatever you have been worried about. Lay it before me and ask me to touch it. Ask me to heal it. Ask me to bring wisdom to the doctors and the treatments and the decisions. Ask me to sustain you in the waiting. And then trust me. Trust that I am working in your body, even when you cannot feel it. Trust that I am at work in the details of your health, even when the answers are slow in coming. And to those facing financial strain, I want to speak directly to you as well. I know the weight of financial stress. I know what it feels like to look at the numbers and not see how they add up. I know the shame that sometimes accompanies financial difficulty. The feeling that you should have done better, should have been more careful, should have made different decisions. I am not here to add to that shame. I am here to tell you that I am a God of provision. I have not left you on your own to figure this out. I see the specific details of your financial situation, and I am not panicked by them. I have resources you cannot see yet. I have opened doors you do not know about yet. I have plans for your provision that operate in ways that will require you to trust me when you cannot yet see the outcome. Plant seeds of generosity even in the lean seasons. I know that sounds counterintuitive. I know that when money is tight, the last thing that feels natural is to give any of it away. But the principle of sowing and reaping is not just a nice spiritual idea. It is a law that I put into the fabric of reality. When you give generously even from a place of lack, when you trust me enough to open your hand, even when what is in it feels inadequate. You are activating a principle that works, not because generosity is a magic formula or a transaction where you pay me and I pay you back, but because generosity is an act of faith, and I always honor faith. I always respond to a heart that trusts me enough to act against its own fear. Be generous. Be open-handed. Look for opportunities to give, to serve, to help, to share what you have even when what you have feels small. And watch what I do with that. Watch how the windows of provision open in ways you could not have manufactured or arranged on your own. If you have been blessed by this message today, if something in your heart has been stirred or strengthened or healed or challenged, I want to invite you again to subscribe to this channel if you have not already. And if you feel moved to support the work of spreading this message to more people who desperately need to hear it, there is a way to do that through the link in the description. Every contribution, large or small, goes directly into reaching more hearts with the truth that they are loved, that they are seen, and that there is a God who is calling them home. You partnering with this work is not a small thing. It is seeds sown into eternal ground. Let us now come to the final and most tender part of what I want to say to you today. We have covered so much ground together in this time. We have walked through forgiveness and fear, and purpose and relationships and faith and doubt, and time and presence and home and healing. And if you have been following along with an open heart, something has been happening inside you during all of that. Something has been shifting. Something has been loosening. Something that was heavy has been getting lighter. Something that was confused has been getting clearer. That is not me describing what I hope happened. That is me telling you what I know happened, because I was here with you the whole time. And now I want to bring you to the most important moment of everything I have said. All of those truths I have been speaking, all of that wisdom and invitation and challenge and encouragement, it only transforms your life if you respond to it. Information without response is just noise. Truth that you hear but do not act on is like rain that falls on concrete. It just sits there and eventually evaporates without ever producing any fruit. I do not want that for you. I have poured all of this out for you today because I want to see you transformed. I want to see your life actually changed. I want to see the chains actually broken, and the relationships actually healed, and the fears actually overcome, and the calling actually pursued. And the first response I am asking for is surrender. Complete, wholehearted, hands open surrender of your life to me. Not the polished version of your life. Not the parts you think are acceptable. All of it. The beautiful parts and the broken parts. The things you are proud of and the things you are ashamed of. The parts you have figured out and the parts that are still a complete mess. Bring all of it to me. Every single piece of it, and say, it is yours. I trust you with it. I cannot manage it on my own, and I do not want to anymore. Take it. Lead me. Show me who I am supposed to be and help me become that person. I am yours. That is the prayer that changes everything. Not because of the words, but because of the surrender behind them. That is the moment when heaven leans close, and the door swings wide, and the light comes flooding in. That is the moment when the old version of you begins to pass away and the new one, the one I have been calling toward all along, begins to emerge. That is the moment of beginning, and whatever moment you are in right now, whatever age you are, whatever your history looks like, it is never too late for that beginning. The door is still open. Come through it today. If these messages have brought peace to your heart, strengthened your faith, or reminded you of God's love, please consider supporting this ministry through the Ko-Fi or PayPal links below. Together, we can continue sharing hope and God's Word with countless souls around the world. My dear child, there was once a son who took everything his father gave him and went as far away as he could, and spent it all on things that left him empty and broken and sitting in the mud, ashamed and hungry and alone. And the moment he turned his face toward home, before he had even reached the gate, before he had said a single word, his father saw him coming from a long distance away and ran to meet him. Not walked, ran, threw his arms around him, kissed him, called for a celebration. That father is me, and you are that son. You are that daughter. No matter where you have been, no matter what you spent yourself on, no matter how far you wandered or how long you stayed away, the moment you turn your face toward home, I am already running toward you. Come home today. Come all the way home. Not just close to home, not home in theory or in intention, all the way in, through the door, into my arms, into the life I have been holding here for you, into the peace that this world could never give you and can never take away. Come home, my beloved child. I have been waiting for you, and now that you are here, I am never, ever letting you go.